my mother said, find a job that, there's a chimney, or find a job there's food. So of course, my brother was already in the restaurant business, and he said, you're coming to work with me. I always remember the very old style of Hong Kong style dim sum. You have the waiter with a towel in his neck, with a big teapot, coming and fill up the water. And one of the dish I ordered is a black bean sauce with steamed pork ribs. That was one of my favorites. Until today, I know what is a really good Cantonese black bean sauce and not a good one. The most memorable childhood memory is my mother's worst cooking. And I think that was one thing I always remember. And when I was a kid, I said to myself, how come my friends, bringing a lunchbox with so many different things on it? And then she would just say, you know what? Just give yourself a little change and go and buy yourself lunch. I always save my penny when my mother gave me for lunch. And always on the way home, I want to save my money to buy like a vegetarian tasty skewers. A fish ball, curry fish ball, or a guy on the street with a braised beef skewers, So I would be passing by. I remember using those English mustard that I remember that the English use a lot, which is what they use in Cantonese dim sum, the yellow mustard they're using. That's really inspired from the British. My father is the one who really have really good taste. From a day that he get paid, he would say, okay, we're going to top it up this evening. And then he would go down to the store, buy all kinds of takeout food and throw on the table. That is one of my best memories. I always love the food that it makes me feel comfortable. But healthy is important because for me, I have to eat healthy in order to cook healthy. But the bottom line, it has to taste amazing and it has to taste great. And it has to have culture. It has to have what that means. You have to explain to yourself, why are you using this? Why are you putting this plate together? You cannot be just adding a little bit of lemon and a little soy, grate a little bit of lemongrass and put it in vinaigrette. That's called fusion food. But there's no foundation where it's come from. So for me, the two worlds of combining those two worlds, it has to merge in the middle. So Asian eating is like sharing. You put everything on the table. You eat things with chopsticks that you can pick things in little pieces. And Western kitchen, Western style of eating, you are very independent eating. So that not just the kitchen itself, the culture of the way of eating, that kind of make me think about both kitchens are different responsibility. And I treasure both kitchens because I think that makes me today to understand how I'm combination with this restaurant that I have in Singapore or DC or in New York. And those are my style of restaurant, is still maintain the culture of East and West. One of the greatest things about working in a Canadian kitchen, my experience was different culture. A very fresh, different culture. I had 3 jobs at one time. I was a baker in the morning, and I was a garde manger chef, and entremetier chef, and then at night I worked in a disco making breakfast. So I was sleeping only like 3-4 hours a day, and then taking naps in different times. And those experiences are amazing for me. I found this little place on Tecumseh. It's like 2 blocks away from here. So it's a house. And I said to myself, I always wanted to be independent, having my own restaurant, doing my own thing. And then I was in the highest peak in my career. The restaurant has been recognized in the world and also in Canada, in North America. And I said to myself, hey, that's a good time to. You don't want to have something go down in order to say, I fail. So I said to myself, I believe changes are always very good. If people say, oh my God, if I change that, it would make me becomes that would be fear. But changes, if you know how to change it to make it better, is another way of experience. I call it the path, I always. So for me, closing Lotus is one of the best things ever happened to me. I actually have got experience to another culture, moving to Singapore. The weather is different, the culture is different, the food is different. I see my children more. I can take them travel around Southeast Asia, see my grandmother in Asia. So all these great things, I value that greatly because when I moved back from Singapore to Toronto, of course, my first 10 years really committed to my restaurant under my name, Susa. And it was a great event, and it was a huge success from the beginning to the end. Well, I think immigrants really wanted to explore to different kinds of food. But the foundation has to be Asian taste. If you look at supermarket in North America, we have Asian-style supermarket. But the concept of supermarket is Western. You know, market is for us, is going to a wet market. You see pork hanging out, chicken hanging out, vegetable on the storefront. But now, you know, in North America, when people who move from other country who comes to North America, they have to adapt it to what that means going to a supermarket. You can find everything. Everything from a jar, everything from a fresh table, everything from a fish tank. So I think those really open mind of a new immigrant coming from Asia to say, okay, I still want my Asian food, but I can pick some of the jar food, can improvise that. Time have changed. You know, people are busier and also want to cook, want to make good food, but at the same time, want to shorten certain things that the product Kraft have offer. Kraft is almost have that kind of a way of introduce how to manage time by offering good product. Kraft approach is modern and also helping people to solve problems with the daily busy life. What I like about Kraft is variety, quality, and flavors. For example, the sesame dressing. I think that is a great dressing that you can use in many different ways, in cold noodles, hot noodles, and even in fan, for example. You know, the skinny rice noodle, the steam one. And also with salad, and also with just very simple grilled food, for example. This chicken I'll be preparing is ginger and green onions, very traditional northern style, deboned chicken. Flavor, everything is marinated, very traditional Chinese style. At the same time, the finishing is very simple. You grated some fresh ginger, have Catalina mixed together, put the sauce around. It was just a perfect match. One of my favorite Kraft product, actually I'm using in all my restaurant, is my golden sand recipe, which is using the premium crackers. But at the same time, you can manipulate some of the flavor inside the crackers. So it gives it great flavors. Another one, of course, is my very memorable eating with my son since he was born, is the peanut butter. And I just had a peanut butter and banana sandwich the other day at home. I actually have one recipe in my kitchen, the chocolate peanut butter ice cream that I have right now. And what I did is I combined the crunchy one and also the smooth one, melted with chocolate, and then I make an ice cream with it. Peanut butter is amazing. I love that little bit of saltiness. And at the same time, you know, just a variety, you know, Kraft is offering. If you make food at home, especially for your family, for your children, you know, you like to make it fun too. I want to go and explore, to go to one of the best restaurants in the world. Just to go there to experience the chef with his essence of learning can give it to me that moment. And then I would just sit down and think about how is that chef thinking? Why is he making this? And what is philosophy? So it's a progress, almost, is thinking about this artwork, what he does. Cooking, you have to, for me, is like you have to progress, change. Also about community, about time. You got to be modern. So you have to be very true to yourself and being happy. Every element, by tasting it, looking it, and also smelling it. And I think for me, cooking is really a true in the moment. And being happy is another level of great happiness. Well, you know, the first time, you know, I ever stepped on the plane, it was like, you know, that moment of, you know, looking at the window, seeing Hong Kong just starting to disappear. And I realized, you know, I am going to another country. But my first in my mind is I have to keep it very open.